Welcome to The Third Story. I'm Leo Sidran. And this...
I'm on an expensive mic today. I might sound a little different.
...is Rexx Life Raj. Hey, rapper, singer, entrepreneur. Raj came from the East Bay in California, raised by a God-fearing mother and a Black Panther father in the mecca of progressive politics. Raj's music perfectly articulates the beauty and struggle of being a young Black adult in 2020. That's what the press release said, and I said, okay, great. But who is Rexx Life Raj, and what does that sound like? He walks an interesting line. On the one hand, he's very smooth. His voice is soulful, buttery, sweet even. And on the other hand, he's very real, very honest, and confessional, unpacking all of the tragedies and successes of his own life and those around him. On the one hand, he's totally serious. And on the other hand, he can be goofy, a little silly sometimes. He's sensitive in his approach musically and lyrically. His vibe is not aggressive, even when the subject matter is uncomfortable. At the same time, he's a big dude. He played Division I football at Boise State before committing to music full-time. He's prolific and he seems to be constantly making videos and releasing singles. One recent single from earlier this year was called Tesla in a Pandemic, about how he got a new car this year. He uses that image to meditate on the world around him, friends who have not been so lucky or successful, his youth and his parents.
Look, man, listen. I just copped a Tesla in the pandemic. Used to pull up in my pop's truck with bad transmission. Bust a hole in it, he find a condom, and my dad tripping. Look, man, listen. What you going through isn't permanent. It's a transition. You a superstar in your own film. It's fan fiction. Hey, I just copped a Tesla in the pandemic. Hey, I know what I want. I got the tunnel vision.
I like this song. And it also gives me a sense that when Raj believes in an idea, he follows up on it. He commits to it. He respects it. And his fans respect it too. His songs have racked up millions and millions of streams and views. He's a real success story. Raj's new EP, California Poppy 2, came out a couple weeks ago. Incidentally, that is also the name of his new strain of cannabis products. We talked just after it was released about growing up in Berkeley, discovering the world from the back of his parents' delivery van, managing success and guilt, diversification, finding the lane, building the brand, traveling around the world, and giving back to his community. Third-story.com is the place to go to get involved in this community. Sign up, subscribe, check the archive. I have talked to quite a few of the East Bay's finest over the years, though admittedly, usually a little older and jazzier than Raj. But visit the website and see for yourself, third-story.com. As usual, on the website, you'll find a Spotify playlist based on our conversation and some of my favorite Rexx Life Raj videos to check out. And of course, you will also find the link to the Patreon page where you can dig in and diversify your support. If you want to go straight there, it's patreon.com/thirdstorypodcast. Here's me and Rexx Life Raj talking it down. Raj.
Hey, how's it going?
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. I'm on the expensive mic today, so I hope I sound okay.
I'm on the expensive mic today. The $10,000 Sony mic. That's crazy.
Is that what it was? A $10,000 Sony mic?
Yeah, man. That's like my dream microphone. I kind of got, I don't know at what point I kind of got lost in like the gear. But when I found out like what that microphone was and how it sounds, it's like, oh man, it's a crazy microphone for sure.
There's something extremely smooth about your vocal sound, right? And I just assumed that it was what you sound like when you sing, but maybe some of it's in the gear too.
I think it's a combination of everything. I think, my style lends itself to that microphone because like it's just a silky sounding microphone. At my studio I got like a TLM 103, which is it's a decent microphone. But I know how to mix my own vocals. I've been mixing my vocals for a while, so I know how I like them to sound. And with that microphone, it just naturally sounds like me sitting there for 2 hours and mixing it. It just automatically sounds like that. So.
Right. I heard you say that you don't really consider yourself to be a singer, in part because your mom is such a good singer and you grew up around such great singers.
Right. Yeah. No, not even just my mom. Like my entire family on my mom's side. I grew up in a church. They sang in the choirs. My auntie was the pianist and the choir director. All my family was in the choir. They sang in quartets around the Bay Area. Like they could old fashioned sing, sang with an A.
Yep.
So yeah, I think I do well. I do cool, but in comparison to them, like when they around, I don't sing. I just rap. if they're around.
Really?
Yeah, man. Because they could sing, like sing. I think it's levels to singing.
But it's interesting that it didn't keep you from singing. You know, you certainly don't have to be a singer to find a space in the hip hop world, but you have really made a point of being even a buttery, kind of sweet sounding singer. And it's interesting that you'll do it all over the world. You just won't do it in front of your mom and your aunt.
Yeah, no, it's weird. You know, it's a weird thing. I don't know what that is, but I don't know. I feel like it's different too. Because I feel like I found a lane, you know, that really fits my voice well, and I just know my pocket, and I've mastered like my pocket. But they can kind of like sing anything, and I don't know what that feeling is, because like even when it comes to singing in front of people, it's more nerve-wracking for me to perform or sing in front of a small group rather than like a big group. You know what I'm saying? I'm less scared to go out in front of 5,000 people, but if it's like 4 people, I'm kind of like, yo, I'm cool. This is kind of crazy.
Yeah, if you can make eye contact with anybody, then you're vulnerable. You know, if you can't see anybody. So
exactly,
I have my own sort of limited understanding of the universe that is Berkeley, California. Did you go to Berkeley High School?
Yeah, I went to Berkeley High School, graduated in 2008.
I mean, that's a school that I'm aware of in part because I'm a jazz musician, I'm a jazz fan, and so I mean, over the years, that school has turned out, you know, quite a few notable musicians. What was your experience growing up in Berkeley and going to that high school?
It was a dope experience. Like, I love Berkeley. I've been all over the world. Berkeley is like, I don't know, it's just something about Berkeley. But when music-wise, while I was there, I was really heavy into like the rap and hip-hop community, which is like, looking back on it now, it's so crazy because I came up with a bunch of guys like the G-Eazy's who popped off. You know, we had all the dudes like the Cataracts went to Berkeley High. They went on to write Fly, the G6. They're huge. You know, we had even, you know, HBK and all those guys were around. It was so much talent. And like Lil B in the Pack was there. You know, it's like being in it, because it was just so many people rapping. You didn't know who was gonna blow up and be what, but just like in retrospect, looking back on it, it was just crazy that was kind of like the catalyst for everything. And it's just like, I feel like it's because it's so diverse and it's so accepting. And then in the Bay, especially when I was doing like music in high school, it was insane. You know, it was the hyphy movement. People were literally doing anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was crazy.
Can you tell me what the hyphy movement is or what that was?
So the hyphy movement is a period of time within the Bay Area, and it kind of creeped out of the Bay Area, and it was like, it was a sonic sound, but it was also like a lifestyle. You know, you hear the phrase like people going dumb, going stupid. It was kind of like this, like, I can't explain it. Like the only way I can explain it is just like freedom, because the way people would dance was just so loose, and it looks like from the outside looking in, it looks completely insane. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, it's called going dumb, going stupid, but it's just like letting go of everything, being free of everything.
Doing what we want to, hanging out the sunroof, mentally ignorant. When we go dumb, dude, gas brake dip. We call it joking, do a donut in your whip. We call it jokes and get stupid. It's what we do good. Ghost ride the whip while we dancing on the hood. I'm amped, feeling good. I'm hiking a bitch face with the thiz face off of Nike. The women like me, I'm dipped in butter. I rob your butter, pimp the blood out your mother. I'm Mr. Stupid, doodle dumb. Something terrible, tell them how we come. S-T-U-P-I-D. When we go to the club, we don't need ID. Everywhere we go, it's a party, y'all. We gon' get it crackin' like the Mardi Gras. Get stupid, get stupid, get stupid, get stupid, go stupid.
And if you listen to the way people were structuring their songs and like the way they were rapping, they were in different pockets. They weren't on beat necessarily. They were doing things just like nobody was doing. And what's crazy now is like that's now coming full circle. Like, that's becoming a trend on a larger scale, mainstream. But people in the Bay were doing it like 2004, 2005. And it's like you're starting to see the manifestation of it everywhere.
Huh. I don't know that I necessarily hear a lot of that or see a lot of that in your vibe.
I think it's here and there sometimes. But I think, you know, when it comes to my art, that's just not what my art is personally. Like I grew up in that, and my music is influenced by that, but it's not necessarily that. You know what I'm saying? Like if you listen close, it's in the things that I say, it's in the way that I say things, but you can't just put it in that box, but it's for sure in there.
Yeah. It's interesting because there's some other things that are related to the East Bay that I do hear in you that are more old school, like, you know, Tony, or some of the smooth kind of sound, or some of the funk, even Sly kind of vibe is in there, you know? I recognize you as
Exactly.
part of that tradition in some ways.
For sure. And I think it's like, because I look at all art, it's an amalgamation of just everything people have gone through, and it's coming out and how they're expressing themselves. And I feel like a lot of it is, like we talked about earlier, with my family being singers and all that, but also my family had a delivery service. And so I was in the back of the truck because my mom and pops would deliver packages all over the Bay Area. And I would be in the back of the truck or van, and all they would listen to is like old school music. You know,
Yeah.
if you're from out here, you know, 102.9 KBLX, The Quiet Storm, you know, like that type of stuff.
Yeah.
98.1 Kiss FM, like that's all. So I grew up on the Sades, the Isley Brothers, the Luther Vandross, you know. That was my mom's favorite singer, was Luther Vandross. She said growing up she wanted to be Luther Vandross's background singer. So, you know, we listen to a lot of old school, so it's definitely in me.
What was it like for you to drive around the whole Bay and just see all of the diverse ways that people live in the neighborhoods? And, you know, because it's actually a pretty diverse cluster of ways that people live. Like, do you remember kind of like looking at the world through the back of that van?
For sure. And it's like, because we went, so I grew up in Berkeley, and that's where the business was based. And we went everywhere from San Francisco to Sacramento to San Jose to Castro Valley. I saw everything. So I think for me, it made me realize that, like, from a young age, I knew things were bigger than what was right in front of me. I had people who grew up where I grew up, and that's all they knew because they never really went nowhere. But I was able to see things like, yo, man, you ever been to Marin?
Mm-hmm.
Marin is insane, you know. And I had homies who had never been to Marin, so it just opens your eyes to see like people are living in a million different ways.
That's interesting because I know that a big part of your story is related to leaving a situation when some of your friends weren't able to leave. Like the first thing I think that happened is that you went to college to play football and you left some of your friends behind.
Right. Yeah. So when I was at Berkeley High, I always wanted to play like tackle football, but I was too big. I was fat as a kid, so I was always over the weight limit. So when I got to high school, I could finally play. And I was good. Like I played online, ended up getting a couple scholarship offers. I accepted the one to Boise State. And yeah, at that time, it offered me an opportunity to, you know, go get a degree, go play football, and, you know, chase those two different dreams. But yeah, like you said, at the same time, a lot of people didn't get that opportunity, you know. And one of my best friends died, I think it was my freshman year of college. And then about a year later, my other best friend went to jail for 25 years to life. He's still in jail right now. So yeah, it was always like a weird thing with me. You know, it's always kind of like a bittersweet feeling.
Everything feel bittersweet. How am I not content with being right where I wanna be? Why did so much from my past weigh on me heavily? Why am I walking with heavy feet? Why I pop Molly and pray that feeling will never leave? But it always come back around. Always. But it always come back around. Always. It always come back around.
I hear it even in your most recent music. I mean, I know that you wrote this recent single, I Got a Tesla in the Pandemic, as a result of talking to your friend who was in prison still today.
Yeah, I did. It was crazy because I had just, when I talked to him about the song, I hadn't even bought the car yet. I had just pre-ordered it online, and I was telling him about it. And he was like, yeah, bro. He was like, you got to write he was like, you got to do a whole project. You got to do like an EP called Tesla in the Pandemic. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do that, but I'll for sure, you know, do a song about it. It was going to come out, you know, some type of way, because my music is just life that I'm going through. But he for sure inspired that song, for sure.
Do you think that he is living a little bit vicariously through you? I mean, for him to be communicating with you on that level about your work means that he's in it with you on this journey.
For sure. Yeah, 100%. Because it's one of those things, like, if he wasn't in jail, he would be here. That's who I used to rap with in high school. You know, we would go to football practice, and after football practice, we would go to the Berkeley Marina and just rap for hours. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was one of the homies I did that with. I rap with him. He's on one of my earlier projects. I actually got him rapping through the phone.
Huh.
I can't remember what project it's on, but he's on one of my projects for sure. But yeah, he's one of the homies that I know if, situation was different, he would be here with me rapping too. So, and it's like, I'm trying to do it. One of the biggest things for me is like going so hard to put myself in a position that when he gets out, he's just, hop right back into it. You don't have to worry about nothing. Like, bro, I laid the groundwork for you.
Is there a part of you that felt when he went to prison that there but by the grace of God go I? Was there a part of you that thought, boy, that could have been me if I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, if I hadn't been at Boise State?
Yeah, for sure. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, but it's just a reality of where I come from. It's just like things are so circumstantial and situational. Like, you could be in the wrong place at the wrong time and boom, you're shot. You know what I'm saying? You could be in the wrong place at the wrong time and you're getting robbed. Or you could be in the wrong place at the wrong time and you're getting set up or something's happening. So like, I've seen innocent people who have no involvement in the street life, no nothing, just at a house party and it goes wrong, boom, they're shot, now they're paralyzed, or they're shot, now they're not here. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's luck that a lot of people just make it through. And, it's even down to me, like, to like peer pressure and the friends that you acquire on the way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could have linked up with the wrong friends and that could have took my life in a whole different direction. You know what I'm saying? There's just so many different variables that you got to maneuver through. So yeah, I'm thankful, but I understand that, in another reality, I could have been him for sure.
I could have been in the casket. Luckily, I found a mic. In my spare time, I put the ball in the basket. Or I had one hand in the dirt. That's all he knew. That's how a young nigga found work. Up and down that turf. That's probably where I got the work ethic. I don't see niggas outworking me. Pete told us about obstacles and adversity. I see it certainly. I see the power of every word that I say. When I do a show out in Germany, I see the color of the world all in the crowd. I fuck with that biodiversity. Young nigga move like high speed.
The whole thing has been bittersweet for you. Your success has been bittersweet. And sometimes I almost hear in your lyrics that you feel kind of guilty about your success.
Yeah, I feel like it's always, that feeling will always be there because it's always people I feel like I should be doing more for, or people I feel like I can help more or I should help more. It's something I talked to one of my first therapists about. Because it just weighs on me heavy. Because it's like anytime I celebrate something big, it's always something that I'm worrying about, or it's something that I got to trip off of. So I think it just comes with the territory because I'm in a situation where I'm blessed, but I also want everyone around me to be blessed because I got people around me who are struggling. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So I can't really be content if they're struggling. So it's difficult sometimes.
I wonder if that total confessional vulnerability that you sing about that is so personal is part of what has led to your success and is leading to more. It seems like the more honest you are about how you're feeling, the more it connects with a wider audience.
Yeah, I think to me, that's the magic of music. At least what I've learned in my experience is that, like, I could be vulnerable, I could be personal, I could tell my stories, and it's like you don't know how that affects other people. Like, like me talking about my dad might help somebody who's going through something with their mom because they feel it, they empathize with it. And to me, that's what success has become to me. It's not just like about money or, getting all these crazy accolades. It's like, oh, wow, like you're actually helping people. You know what I'm saying? Like I'll go to shows and people will come up to me crying because, like my music helped them through depression. I've had people talk about how they were about to kill themselves and then they slapped father figure too and it helped them out, or they had parents who died and the music helped them. So when I look at my music in that light, it's just like, it's about the money and all that kind of stuff, but it's also about like helping people, because that's what music did for me in my darkest time.
So part of your biography talks about how your dad was a Black Panther. What did that mean to you? And to what extent was he a Black Panther, and how aware of it were you growing up?
He wasn't a Panther. He was definitely associated with the party.
Yeah.
Because he grew up in West Oakland and North Oakland right when it originated, with the Bobby Seals and the Huey P's and all those guys. Mm-hmm. So it's just ingrained in him. And during his upbringing, it was just much more conscious. It was much more militant. It was much more for the people. our people, which is ingrained in him, which he instilled in me. You know what I'm saying? Because being a black man in this society is different. You know, you got to learn how to move. You got to learn how to operate. There's certain things you can and you can't do. You're looked at different. And he, you know, he made me aware of that at a young age. And I think a lot of people weren't necessarily aware of that. I was kind of hip to it a little earlier. And so, you know, I'm forever grateful because it gives you a new perspective of which to move through life. You know, a lot of the things we see now that people are so like, oh my God, about, like he was talking to me about when I was a kid. So nothing to me is new under the sun. And like he said, it's all cyclical. Everything that's going on, he's seen before. It's different now because we got cameras and everybody could see it, but it's nothing new. So just being privy to that information, I think makes you look at life a little different.
Yeah. So what was he thinking about, and what were you thinking about this summer when, you know, BLM came to the front and people maybe who had never really confronted those questions all over the country were finally asking some seriously hard questions?
I think we thought it was like, it's a dope thing, you know what I'm saying? Especially to see it on this large of a scale. Because I was looking at Black Lives Matter protests in like London, you know what I'm saying? In Berlin, it was crazy. I had never seen it on that scale, which I think just anything that brings awareness to it, because when you bring awareness to something, it raises the conversation. And that's, I think, how you change things. You start with a conversation. But I think what I've noticed is like, I hope it for a while, and I think it kind of still is, it became kind of like trendy for some people to do it. And it's like one of those things that I hope it's just not a trend for people to talk about it or do like faux activism and certain things, like make it a lifestyle, you know, is my biggest thing, you know, making more than a caption, making more than something you put on Instagram. Like, how do you implement it into your real life? How are you helping people around you that don't look like you? Like I said, I'm always happy for progress and raising awareness for sure.
Especially this year, it's really hard to figure out what it means to implement anything beyond Instagram when most of us are just sitting at home looking at Instagram because we can't go anywhere to really do anything. And it's interesting that this is the year when maybe real social progress did get made, or at least the conversation changed. You know, I just think it's interesting that, like, while we're all more isolated, somehow we are able to kind of focus as a country on certain things.
And what's crazy to me, it's been interesting how people are going about like enacting change in their own life. Like, so some of the dudes I grew up with from Berkeley, it's a group of guys I went to middle school and high school with. And so they put together, and I think it's about, I want to say it's about 8 of us. 2 or 3 of us are Black, and the other 5 guys are like white. And one of them, like, it was just on his heart to do something and he didn't know what to do. So what we ended up doing was, which I think was clean, like I shared it on my socials, is that we got together and we picked 4 organizations in the Bay Area that we believed in and we were going to raise money for. And then we did a raffle on our socials to raise money that's divided to these 4 organizations. I got to look them up. Mm-hmm. And then we also matched whatever the raffle that came in. Mm-hmm. We matched that with our money and we raised like $20,000 to get to these people. Wow. And it was only 8 of us. You know what I'm saying? So It's like, even though you're at the house, I feel like there's something you can always do. You know what I'm saying? Like, one of my good friends, his name is Galenty. He has a foundation in Oakland called the People's Breakfast of Oakland. And they're literally in the field with the houseless people, like 3 or 4 times a week, providing. Like, we did one thing with them where we gave 100 pairs of Pumas. We gave food, all type of stuff. But it's like organizations like that are in the field like every day that you could give resources to, you can give awareness to, and let them do the work, even if you are at the house. You know, it's people still outside and doing the work.
One of the other things that you have to do from home is promote a record. And, you know, you just put out California Poppy 2. I have a feeling that in a different version of things, you would be out on the road trying to promote this. It seems like in the last few years, you really started to travel and go all over the world. Right. Instead, you're home. I really noticed looking at some of your videos that a year ago, 2 years ago, you were really getting into making videos while you were traveling and making a point of sort of documenting, like, I'm in the world. Look at me in Paris. Look at me. It looks like there's a video you shot in Germany. Like, you wanted to be sort of documented while traveling. What did travel mean to you? What does travel mean to you?
Travel meant a lot to me. Like, I love traveling, and it was also for me, but it was also that I was in a position to take my team around the world who had never, places I haven't been, they hadn't been either, So being able to take the whole squad around the world was crazy, and see and experience things we never saw was wild, and that's why I like to put it in the videos, because to me, it's like, I was inspired by people who did that in their videos and made me want to go to certain places. When I seen dudes shooting a video in Dubai or in Africa, what I'm saying? It's like, wow, that looks lit. I want to go there. So for me, it's like, it was already like, we already have a cameraman here. We might as well do it, And then another aspect for me is that my memory is so bad that I'm like, bro, shoot this so I can remember this in like 5 or 10, because I'm going to forget everything, but I don't remember nothing. But yeah, it's been crazy, man. I haven't been home for this long in a while.
Speaking of that, being able to take your whole team with you, you have this one line where you say, when I made my money, I didn't put it around my neck. I took the crew around the world with me. Like it was a choice that you made to really like use it as an opportunity.
When that rap money came, I didn't put it around my neck. I took the team around the world, like where are we going next? Some say it's a subtle flex. I spin it right when they cut the check. You spin yours like a dumb nigga. No wonder they look at you dumb nigga. I'm the one where I'm from, nigga. Drizzle the game, the shit ain't for everyone, but I know it'll hit some niggas. You can't fly till you jump, nigga. Papa taught me how to build it, I build it. You ain't moving cause you two in your feelings. If you focus on your craft as much as your cell phone, you would make a million.
The dopest thing you can give somebody is an experience. You can give people money and all that kind of stuff, but if I give you a crazy experience that you might never see again, to me that's crazy, life-changing stuff. So yeah, I just wanted to do, and that's big for me, like just trying, like it goes back to what I was talking about earlier, just trying to help everybody around me, put everybody in better position. So it was only right.
Okay, well, talking about providing people with a crazy experience, can you explain to me about the cannabis business that you're getting into?
Yeah, that's going to be a wild experience. That's hilarious. Yeah, so California Poppy 2 is it's this project, but it's also meant to kick off my cannabis strain, which is going to be called California Poppy. We're still working out all the logistics and paperwork and stuff for it. But I partnered up with my boy. His name is Mark. He's with a company called Permanent Holiday, which is like, he has his own cannabis strain, but he also has all of his licenses and paperwork to have warehouses and all this stuff. And what's crazy is like, I saw him build it up for the last 3 or 4 years. So to see where he's at is really crazy. But for me, like, I don't really smoke weed that much. I occasionally smoke weed.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, what I want to do in the cannabis industry is just like kind of kick the door in for people around me. Because to me, it's just really sad. It's really frustrating that you see people of color, Black people, who are sitting in jail for petty marijuana crimes when you got this $1 billion industry of people flourishing right now. And the only difference between a lot of people was the knowledge and the resources. Like if you look at the cannabis industry, the biggest thing is like the barrier of entry is so high. You know what I'm saying? Like the barrier of entry is just so pricey to get a $20,000 permit, a $50,000 license. If you want to grow, you got to get all this kind of crazy stuff. And it's like, with my platform, what I want to do is like, yeah, I have this strain, but along with this strain, we're going to have like webinars. When it opens back up, we'll have seminars. I'm trying to build a community of people to give resources and knowledge to people who are trying to get into the business. You know what I'm saying? Because it's the more you learn about the business, it's a million ways to make money within it that people just don't know. Like it's people who are in the weed business who are just printing stickers to put on the bag, on the jar. And that's a $200,000, $300,000 company a year. And it's like, people just don't even know. You can have a delivery service, you know what I'm saying? Which is far less regulated and all that kind of stuff. And it's just like, people just don't know. So with me, it's like, I've been learning from all these cannabis companies and people who've been in the industry. I've been learning as much as I can to start my strain, but also to give it back to people who are trying to get in the business, trying to get acclimated to kind of just like the new climate of what's going on.
Are there Black-owned pot businesses that you're aware of? I mean, is it still a pretty segregated business?
I think it's like 1 or 2 out here that I know of. You see a lot more in the delivery service space because, like I said, that's far less permits and regulations to get through. Where you really don't see it is like the farmers, the farmer, and that's where like the big money is if you're a farmer. But yeah, you don't really see it that much, to the point that California does like raffles where they're like if you're a person of color, you can apply for a certain certificate or permit where like if you get it, they'll give you a grant or all this money because they're trying to include people of color and Black people within it because they know, you know, we've already done you wrong and you can't get in. So here's kind of like to help you get in, you know. So it's pretty limited for sure.
You grew up in a world where so many people around you found success in music that you were like, yeah, I'm going to get into
Right.
music. And then later on, you were like, no, I think we can make money in weed also. Because I live in New York where there is no legal weed business. So the idea that you would even consider taking some of your successes and try to start a weed business just sounds so crazy to me, even though it makes perfect sense in California.
Yeah, and that's what's crazy. You know, California is been ahead of the curve when it comes to like marijuana and all that. And you see what's happening out here. Like these companies are getting like fully commercialized and they're going corporate. And it's like, it's a booming business. Like you're starting to see certain companies are becoming like, oh, this is going to be the Coca-Cola of weed. Like they're established, like this will be like the Louis Vuitton of weed. Like it's really branded really well. Like it's packaged like for the consumer. It's friendly. It's just like a different, it's commercial now. It's consumerism now. It's not like this taboo thing. So yeah, I think it's one of the many things I want to get into. But I feel like when it comes to music at this point in my mind, music right now is like my passion. I love it. And I'm so thankful that it's able to give me money and I can get paid from it. But right now it's a vehicle to open up doors for other things.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like music is not going to last forever. Like, and it's crazy because it's the same conversation I remember our coaches having with us in college. Like football is not going to last forever. You got to kind of start figuring out what you want to do. But it's the same with me. It's like, yeah, I don't feel like it's smart for anybody to put all their eggs in one basket. It's like you want to die. If you got a portfolio in stock, the biggest thing they tell you is diversify. You don't want to have all your stock in Tesla because what if it crashes? So I think it's just like using this as a vehicle to open up other doors, make business moves here, make business moves there, and have multiple streams of revenue, and just be straight, you know.
How does the music business feel to you? You make a lot of videos, they get a lot of streams, you know, you have good numbers on Spotify. You seem like you're doing well at a time when the business is not in great shape on a lot of levels. How does the music business feel to you? Does it feel like a real business? Does it feel like a business in which you can actually find success?
Yeah, for sure. Depending on your situation and if you haven't signed everything away, there's still money in streams if you could build it and you could grow it. And when you look at yourself as a brand and everything you do as a business, there's a lot of business and money to be made within it. It depends on how you choose to play the game. Like you see a lot of artists who have, well, at least I do, because it's like in hip hop, fashion is a big thing. So you see a lot of like rappers who have clothing lines that make more money than the music. You know what I'm saying? Because they've invested so much in the clothing, in their brand, or you see rappers who are really good on Instagram. So they've branded themselves in a certain way, which open doors for partnerships that they're making money through partnerships. You know what I'm saying? Like it's different ways to work the system and make money that I think you gotta figure out the game. And that's what I'm saying when I say like, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't hope that you're going to get all your money from streaming. I will hope it's not, you know, since we can't perform right now. And that's a big money for a lot of people. It's different. You got to figure out different ways to make money. You know what I'm saying? So I think as an artist and coming from me, it's just like I come from a family of, you know, entrepreneurs and self-reliance and self-sufficiency. So I just think a little different in terms of like, all right, so what am I going to do now? I can't be stuck. Let me create another way to make money real quick. So I think that's the biggest thing.
How does your brand influence the music that you make in the sense that I understand you saying music is a passion and it's a way to open up other opportunities, but your music is a big part of your brand, your music and your image and your videos and your social media identity. How much of that is something that has to be cultivated and built as opposed to just kind of you opening up the door and just sharing who you are? Does that make any sense? How much of it is who you are and how much of it have you developed as a brand?
I think for me personally, it's a little bit of both. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like I've seen the game play many ways. For me personally, like I feel like pretty much what you see of me on the internet is who I am. It's certain things in me that I know people like that I'll play into. But it's nothing to me. Everything with me personally comes down to how much integrity I have in myself and in my art. So it's certain lines that I won't cross when it comes to integrity. But it'll be certain things like stupid captions. I notice that people love when I do these long 5-paragraph captions of me just saying anything. So I'll play into that. I'll write these long captions. Boop, I'll turn that into a caption guide book with crazy pictures into it because you guys like that kind of stuff. But it's like some artists have cultivated such an image that when I meet them, they're not who I thought they were. You know what I'm saying? Because it's an image that you've made, which to me, I had to learn to, I was just talking to a friend about that. Like I had to learn to appreciate that because that's art within itself. Like I used to look at it like, man, he being fake, like he doing all this stuff. That's not really who he is. But now he was able to cultivate a character that he knew people would like.
Yeah.
And in some way, that's kind of protecting who he really is because he doesn't have to give the world his real self. So he's protected, you know what I'm saying, with this character. Whereas if you're who you are, then people know everything about you. And that's also like the other side of the spectrum. How much do you want to give the world? Do you want the people to know what your dad is going through, what your mom is going through? Like, because then people come up to you and they want to talk about it. You don't know these people. You know what I'm saying? So it's just different ways you can play the game.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned what your parents are going through, and I've heard in some of your songs that they both had health issues in the last couple of years.
Yeah, they have. My dad has been going through stuff for a while. You know, he's had a lot of health issues. And then my mom just this year, it's been pretty crazy. You know, she had some stuff pop up in her life that I don't necessarily want to talk about. I don't know how comfortable she is with me putting that out, but it's just been, it's been a crazy last few years, you know what I'm saying, with everything that's going on musically, and then, you know, with the perceived success of like what's going on in music, but what's going on like in real life, in my life, it's just two different battles that I gotta fight. So it's been a crazy time.
You had a line in a song a couple of years ago where you said, I should have been a doctor, not a rapper. Basically, you said, I wish I was a doctor, not a rapper.
That's a fact. Yeah, I do. Like, but the more I learn about doctors, I don't know, man. It's just like, it's more so saying that I wish I had the answers for things that I don't have the answers for, you know, like things that I wish I could help people when it comes to their bodies and, you know, steer them in the right direction in terms of that, which is crazy because it's going through the stuff with my parents. I'm learning so much about the body and how, you know, what I should be doing to my body. And I'm telling stuff to the homies like, bro, you shouldn't be eating that. You should be taking these herbs. You should be drinking this, whoopie whoop. So it's all still a learning process. I wish I just didn't have to learn this way. You know, unfortunately, I got to learn this way.
You know, there was a performance of that song. I'm talking about the song Time that you did like as a live in studio thing. It's just you standing in front of a microphone with a track playing in the background.
Right.
It's one of my favorite performances of all of the things I've seen you do. This is just me. I know you didn't ask me for my opinion, but I think the reason I like it so much is because it doesn't feel like there is any auto-tune or any pitch stuff happening. And you can sing, man. You can sing and make people feel a certain way without that. And I'm not saying that the auto-tune is only because, you know, your whole family sang and you just want to make sure that you're just definitely in the zone pitch-wise. I know it's also like a style thing and it's a production choice and everything. But, man, that particular performance of that song really reached me, I think in part because it's just like it's so raw and it's more naked in that way.
Right. No, I 100% agree. I just feel like that was I feel like a lot of people felt like that with that song. You know, I wrote that song like a week or so before I even went out there to do it. The song wasn't even out when I did that, you know?
I wish I had more time in the day. Just know if I had it my way, you would be priority, not sacrifice. But right now I'm working on this way of life to make sure that my future right. Hold me down, the payoff coming. The payoff coming.
And we didn't know how it was going to be. Like, I remember when I did that, it was on a platform called Colors. And when you go there, like, on the video, I'm in like a burgundy, like a red room. Yeah. But it's really a big green screen room. Yeah. So it was, we were in Berlin and it was summer record heat and they didn't have air conditioner. So the first thing I'm tripping off, I'm like, yo, please don't have me looking sweaty and nuts. Cause I was sweating, looking insane. And they're like, bro, you look good. You look great. And then I did it like 3 or 4 times, and I was like, I think I'm good. And I was like, everything is good. And I was like, yeah, how many times do people usually like do it? And they were like, some people do it like 1 or 2 takes, very rarely. Because like usually people do it about 15 times, and then we pick the best one. And I was like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, just dropping that song did numbers for me. You know, like that song is literally the reason why I could go on tour in Europe. You know, that song did numbers for me.
And is it that version of it? It's that video and that version of it that did the numbers that spread the word about you in Europe? Yeah, because I think Colors is, they're based out of Berlin, and I think their demographic is like really like European. So it's like out there. Yeah. Like in America, we like Colors, but out there it's like a really big thing. So if you do well on that platform, it does really well out there. So I think it just translated really well. What's your life like? Like, how do you set up your life, especially now in pandemic? Like, how are you organizing your time? So right now it's like literally at home with my parents, you know, doing whatever I need to do for them. So I'm at home a lot with them. And then usually at nights, evening nights, I might go to the studio and just do like a random music, you know. We shot a couple videos, like however many for California Poppy. But it hasn't really been crazy. Like I said, it's just really been taking care of my parents and, you know, the random music that I get to do. Not even hanging out with the homies too much because, you know, we're kind of really locked down out here. I'm not sure, where are you at? I'm in Brooklyn. I'm in Brooklyn, New York. I'm pretty locked down too. Right. Yeah. So they just, you know, took it to another level of lockdown. So it's been pretty, you know, locked down. So yeah, I haven't really been doing too much. I got a Peloton bike. Oh, good for you. Riding every day. Yeah, that's what everybody's doing. Yeah. That's got to be the follow up to I got a Tesla in the pandemic. Yeah, Peloton in the pandemic. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Well, Raj, it's really been a pleasure to talk to you. And congratulations on a new record, and thanks for taking some time. Thank you for having me. Be well. All right, man. Take care. There he was, my friends. Rexx Life Raj, working on that way of life. I'll be back next week with a little special end of the year wrap up. Until then, I'm caught up in this way of life. I'll talk to you soon. To make sure that my future right. Just hold me down.